Back at it again, live in the C-Space studio for day 2 of more conversations with leaders from marketing, media, the metaverse, and so many more. I'm James Kotecki, your host, live here at CES 2022, and our first guest of the day, Ian Utile, founder, attn.live. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
All right, so what's the elevator pitch for attn.live? I know you. I feel like you're a guy who's in a lot of different things.
Yeah. attn.live is pretty simple. We're a software platform. You put content through our system. We send it out to all the places where people are at, right? Mm-hmm. YouTube and Spotify and the Amazon Lexi devices. But one thing that's unique about what we do is we create NFTs against that content so that the content creators can monetize their content automatically. So we say it's a wealth creation tool for podcasters and their communities.
And is it only new content, or can you take existing content that someone already put on YouTube and run it through your system?
That's a great question. Like for today, you could be using our system and creating NFTs against each piece of content live, but you could also take the last 5 years and you could import that through our system and reshare that everywhere and create NFTs against that content as well.
So we're having so many great NFT and metaverse conversations here in the C-Space studio, but the first question that comes to mind about this is like, okay, everything can be an NFT. You can make any piece of content NFT, any clip, any moment, anything. What about the basic laws of supply and demand here, right? Like if the market is flooded with, if every piece of content ever is an NFT, what are they actually worth? What does that mean?
Well, you have to think of NFTs as a receipt with rights. Okay, so your house has a deed or a title. That's the receipt. The right is you get to live there, and the car has a pink slip. Or you buy a ticket to an event, and it has a seat number, right? Yeah. So it's non-replaceable or non-fungible. Yeah. It's a receipt with rights. You bought that. You have the receipt. You get to sit there. So if everything becomes an NFT, the question about supply and demand is going to be on utility. What's the usefulness of this NFT? And what is the right that comes with this NFT? And is the right used up as soon as the NFT is kind of checked off that this thing's been done, like you go to a concert? Or does this NFT have ongoing value and utility, like a car, where you can drive it until you're ready to sell it?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a much more layered and complex situation, and people in the market will figure these things out over time.
So what are some of the use cases that people that are using your platform are getting advantage?
I think a big thing for us is that they're able to prove that it's their intellectual property. This is mine, it belongs to me. So the content creator is the first one to own their NFT. Yeah. And they don't have to sell it, but if they choose to sell it or give it away, then they have a chance to track engagement, to generate revenue and things of that nature. So I think that's a big advantage for them.
And can they use it as a way to engage with fans? Hey, if you hold this piece of content that I created, you get a week, 1 week. Every week you can have a conversation with me or whatever they
I love that question. Yeah. So we really are believers in decentralization. We want to empower those that use our platform to use it and create NFTs that they want. So if they want to go through and customize smart contracts and add utilities, all those things we're open to doing, and we're excited about the innovation that will come through our platform.
This is a question I ask a lot of people here in the C-Space studio, some version of this question, which is how much education in the blockchain, NFTs, all of this metaverse stuff, do people need to have to be able to use your platform? And are you seeing trends there as far as how educated people actually are?
Well, we started having people use the platform, I think we used it at CES in 2020. And so we were quiet about it. This is my 7th company. I've learned not to be too loud about new technology because it takes a while to get bugs out and things of that nature. So as far as education, in the beginning, people didn't know what an NFT was. So I didn't even really call it an NFT. I just said, oh, we create a digital asset against your content. Yeah. Or maybe if they were in the blockchain world, oh, we create a crypto collectible against your content. So there's a lot of information out today, and there's a lot of options for becoming educated. And so for me to give one answer of how to get educated would be a little short-sighted. And as far as the education with us, we're fortunate that this is several companies I've built with the same team. We know how to onboard people. We know how to kind of educate them. We have an option for services for the folks that really want to take our product and our platform as far as possible.
And what are you excited about for people using the platform in 2022? What are you looking forward to in the near term?
I just think there's so much content right now that's idle on servers, idle on the cloud. It's not being seen, it's not being engaged with, it's not being watched. It surely is not making any money for the person or corporation. So this vision, we've been beating this drum for year after year after year. This is coming. This is the next great communication tool. We think of this platform and peers that will rise up to compete with us. We welcome them. We think that what this industry will be creating, we call it sonic streaming, is like the Gutenberg printing press. Sure, there's other great communication platforms, like there were other printing presses, but the Typeform printing press changed everything. And I think this year people will really recognize that attn.live sonic streaming platform and others that do similar things are really going to change the opportunity when it comes to communications for individuals like yourself and corporations like CES, CTA.
So you call it sonic streaming. Is that what you call the process of putting the content onto the platform and distributing it and allowing it to be an NFT?
Yes. People were just like, what is this? Yeah. And I kept realizing, well, it's podcasting plus NFT. That's non-fungible token. You know what that means, right? And NLP, natural language processing. You know that. And I'm like, this is too much. It's sonic streaming. Okay. So it's like a new category we created, bringing these three different things together.
So where does the NLP part come in? That's natural language processing, which is a part of artificial intelligence. So where does that come into it?
So the first step was to make sure that people could call up the content with their voice, using their voice devices.
Oh, interesting.
So saying to Amazon Lexi, I'll call it Lexi so it doesn't fire off all your systems. Open attn.live, it says what channel do you want to listen to, Ian Utile or CES, and then it brings up a 24/7 continuous stream of content that can be interrupted any time. And then the vision ultimately is that people can say, hey, Google Assistant, open attn.live, and it says, do you want to listen or go live? And that you, in your car, can say, I want to go live. I don't want to be a content consumer in my car. I want to be a content creator. So you call up attn.live. It says, do you want to go live? You say yes. You start talking. You create a podcast, and NFTs created against that. And that ultimately is a big part of our vision for leveraging NLP, is that people can just talk to the machines and either listen as a consumer or create as a podcaster.
Interesting. And so it's almost like you get a window, if the people want to give you this window, into everyone's thoughts, who's using this, and then people can get a window into your thoughts whenever you're ready to give them that. It's
absolutely.
And so is it mainly focused on audio right now? Because you can imagine the future of video. And I think you did mention YouTube earlier.
Yeah, so I've created a lot of video. I think I've gone live video several thousand hours in the last few years. Okay, we are an audio-focused company for a couple reasons. Number one, because I've built a lot of tech companies, I understand the hurdle of bandwidth and also all the other legalities around video. And so I just didn't feel like that was a great business decision. So we said, we're going to really focus on audio. It's an underserved market. The other thing is, just when I project the future, I think that people are going to gravitate more and more and more toward audio. I think there's a higher probability that my conversation today will be heard a lot more than it will be watched in the next decade. And so for us, for content creators, if you're creating audio, you don't have to worry about what you look like, what's behind you, who's behind you, what logo you have on. If you're a content consumer, you don't have to give it your undivided attention looking at a phone, looking at a screen. You can passively consume content that way. So we think there's many, many reasons for us to drive success in the audio sphere, which is why we focused on podcasting, music, teaching, universities, things of that nature.
Interesting. And so you're here at CES in part for a panel called Voice in the Metaverse. Voice and the Metaverse, excuse me. What does that mean? What is that all about?
So I just did a talk. I did the final keynote at the Voice Summit on December 8th, so recently, less than a month ago. And at that, I was telling all of the executives at Samsung Bixby and Microsoft Cortana, those that are building the greatest NLP machine learning technology. And I said, listen, these rebels that are creating the Web3 world, they don't realize it, but they're totally dependent on the voice tech industry. So the metaverse doesn't function with thumbs on glass. The metaverse doesn't function with fingers on a keyboard. It's not like we have eye reading and we're going to have these headsets on, they're going to know our thoughts. No, you have to use your voice. So it doesn't matter how decentralized you are or what your decentralized autonomous organization is, or that you're the Web3 rebel, anarchist, renegade, taking down the Web2 centralized world. That's fine. You still probably need hardware like a Microsoft Halo or a Facebook Oculus. You also still probably need to leverage some of their UI, UX, and ultimately you're going to have to leverage some of the existing infrastructure around voice technology, which is why today we have the event Voice in the Metaverse at 3 p.m., bringing together some of the thought leaders around what does voice technology and metaverse development look like and how these things work seamlessly together.
So how do you think a conversation like this will go down at CES 2032?
At 2032 CES, a conversation like this will be kind of like how people look back at the Edison light bulb. Like, remember when we were so fascinated? Remember when we used to gather around a light bulb and we flick a switch, and if it didn't explode, we were all amazed? Right now, NFTs and the metaverse is like the brand new light bulb that when you flick it on, usually it explodes. You're like, okay, we got to try again.
Yeah.
So I think part of the issue is this, is that today, not only is it early, it probably isn't even birthed yet. I would say that the Web3, metaverse, crypto, blockchain, NFT worlds are likely in the second trimester in the womb, still being formed, not yet born.
But we can at least look at the ultrasound, right? And get a
Yes,
sense
we
of
can.
where things are going.
Well, yeah, there's a lot that we're doing with the ultrasound, isn't there?
Yeah. So you, as you mentioned, you interview people, you hosted, I believe, several events in this space recently, and you've interviewed a lot of folks in this world. Are there any kind of counterintuitive trends that you're picking up from these interviews? Any threads that you can share with us?
I think counterintuitive trends and threads is, I was most excited about NFTs because it wasn't going to be speculative investing. It's become speculative investing. I find that personally discouraging. I'm excited when that time passes. So one of the trends that I'm most concerned about is the trend of immediate exploitation and the way that people are being leveraged. I'm very concerned because I think that the best technology will be built like a castle. Long-term thinking, legacy thinking, century thinking. So that's one thing I'm concerned about. One thing I'm extremely encouraged by is I've been an independent tech entrepreneur in the Silicon Valley for over 20 years. And it has always bothered me that it is primarily people that look like me, people that are similar to me, right? It's light-skinned guys. And in this new emerging Web3 world, it has been so many more women, so many more ethnicities, so many different languages and continents represented, and the way that that has happened naturally and organically, not because of virtue signaling or because we really got to, get a lady involved or one of these, somebody from this tribe involved. It's just been natural, and I think it's because the walls have fallen down, and there's been this decentralization on purpose, on mission, and so that's been a trend that has been very, very encouraging to me.
Well, Ian Utile, founder of attn.live, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we really appreciate you watching us here in the C-Space studio. That was just one of many great conversations that are just ahead. I'm James Kotecki, live at CES 2022. Keep it right here.